Dear students, today I'll be focusing on Lamabam Kamal's Madhabi, one of the most classic novel of Manipuri literature and which is translated into English by R.K. Birendra Singh. To give a very brief introduction of the writer, Lamabam Kamal Singh was born on 7th March 1899 at Langtabal Kunja, which is a few kilometers away from Imphal. His father's name was Lamabam Jatra Singh, whose profession was Lyric Thiba, and as such, he was brought up in a literary atmosphere, as his home was visited by the then literary gurus. His mother was Srimati Lady Devi, a warm-hearted, gentle, kind and loving, a typical Meitei woman. He started his education from Lilong LP School, then got his higher education from Johnstone School and completed his medical degree from Barry White National Medical College, Dribugar. Kamal was an introvert and started writing poems from his school days, and whenever he found opportunities, he never ceased to write poems. He had written the novel Madhabi while he was still a medical student. Some of his other literary works are Brojendrogi Luhongba, a short story, Devyani, an incomplete play, which is based on relationships and which is believed to be a story based on his life. Some of his other poems are Meitei Chanu, Laisa Khangdaba Leipal, Leibak Lei, Chandranadi, Chingyagi Lehau, etc. And because of his contributions to Manipuri literature and his creativity, he was awarded a title in 1948 by the Manipuri Sahitya Parishad. Dr. Kamal was much of an artist than a medical doctor. His heart was much deeper in his creative process. He was a romanticist, a worshipper of nature akin to William Wordsworth, a worshipper of beauty of nature in all its aspects akin to John Keats. Beauty fascinated him, mesmerized him, and he seemed to carry on the eternal message of the beauty of nature. He was fascinated by the brooks that runs in the foothills of the mountains, enchanted by the changing, beautiful scenes of the four seasons. Dr. Kamal died in 16th February 1938. Kamal's literary career came at a time when Manipuri literature written in Manipuri language was not at its best in terms of writers as well as creativity, while literature of every genre like poems, dramas, novels flourished in other parts of the world. In the 18th century, when a great wealth of books written in Meitei script was said to have been burned in front of the Kangla Ultra, it marked an eclipse in the history of Manipuri literature. From then on, Bengali script replaced the Meitei script, and thereon, with the influence of Bengali literature and writers like Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, English language and literature also directly began to influence Manipuri literature, which is said to be completed in the 20th century. Few opposed the new trend, few writers came out to revive the lost wealth, and Dr. Kamal was one of the few. In Madhabi, the influence of Bengali and English literature is seen with the reference of books like Shakuntala, Kadambari, and the dramas of Shakespeare. Dr. Kamal Madhabi was not only the first novel in Manipuri literature, but also a well-written, established, and much appreciated novel written in February 1930. The novel is a tragedy based on the love story of a girl named Madhabi who sacrificed all worldly and material things for the sake of love. It is recognized as the first Manipuri novel. The name of the present-day Kanchipur, where Manipur University is presently located, was so called after the region was fictionally called Kanchipur in the novel. Though the novel is based on the Meitei community who live in the valley part of Manipur, it carries the universal values of love, friendship, and sacrifice. It also describes the exploitation of the poor and the weaker section of the society by the rich and the powerful. But the novel tells the beautiful story of coexistence between mankind and nature, in which nature provides a soothing balm to the otherwise sufferings of the world. The novel is written at the backdrop of beautiful scenes of nature. The writer paints the picture of the scenery of FEGOCTA at the beginning of Sajibu, which is alluring. To the west, the Nambu River meanders along. To the east, there is a lake which is always full to the brim with clear water. The surface rendered with green shooting young leaves of lily, lotus, and other similar plants. This beautiful poetic rendering of nature can be seen in the scene Hillside Bower, describing the scenic beauty of FEGOCTA, and the beautiful picture of Shillong in the scene Shillong, which are some of the scenes that expresses the poet in the novelist and which captures the mind, the fantasy, and the heart of the readers. Now, coming to the theme and plot of the novel, the story is a comparison between worldly and spiritual love on one hand, seeking love in the physical world, and an unparalleled sacrifice for love on the other. The novel is a story of renunciation and self-sacrifice of Madhabi, and a story of the natural and traditional love of Urire. The love that is experienced by both girls are unique in their own terms. Madhabi's love is self-sacrificing, universal, and sublime, whereas Urire's love is selfish and materialistic. The love story between Urire and Biren is characterized by possessiveness and self-interest, with its usual intricacies of obstacles, conflicts, and finally, the unique union of these two lovers. It initiates the struggle of Urire in her endeavor to achieve her goal of getting Biren. Her inability to express her love, the conflict in her heart, and the physical obstacles that she faced are expressed through the beautiful images of nature. The way that Urire loves Biren is such that she is even ready to sacrifice her life, struggle to unite with Biren despite the obstacles from every quarter. When Urire heard about the intended marriage of Biren to another girl, she decides to put an end to her life by jumping into the water of the Rajmandal pond in the Kanchi garden in the scene Urire in the forest. Sorrow, doubt, mental agony, disappointment, and jealousy burns her heart. It seems that there is no place for her in this wide world. She prays to the sun god that if she cannot get her loved one in this birth, to let her get it at the next birth. Her beautiful features have lost their brilliance for want of food, and her moon-like face has been rendered pale by misery. She seems to have no one to care for her, neither parents nor brothers. In the scenes Wildfire and Umang the Urire, Urire tries to commit suicide and shows as if she has no relationship with mankind. These incidents are examples of Urire trying to survive if she can achieve things and to die if she cannot achieve those. In the strange marriage scene, it is her selfishness that made her put the garland on Biren's neck. The garlanded flowers are not meant to cover Biren's shameful act because the novelist does not show it, but for her own good. So, a critic, A.C. Singh, says that everything that has been done by Urire to sacrifice her life is the height of selfishness, as she is doing it for her own good. But all that is going through in Urire's young heart is natural. It's human nature. a love which is within mankind's nature. Then again, on the other hand, the love between Madhabi and Dhiren is shown in the light of universalism and self-negation, which ends tragically. What Kamal wants to show in this novel is that the difference between selfish love and selfless love. In the first kind of love, Kamal tries to show the impeccable journey of love between Urirei and Biren and the way in which Urirei struggles to unite herself with her love. Madhabi's life is a battle between the heart and mind. Her heart says to take Dhiren. Without him, life is no meaning. Her mind says to make sacrifice, not to be selfish. There is a world besides Dhiren. Madhabi is an epitome of self-sacrifice. She sacrifices her love because she believes that physical achievement of love is not worth, for there are other things in life worth living for. She says in the scene Change in Madhabi's mind that the world of love is a different world. Valuable things are not so valuable. If love is limited to one object, it is troublesome. Therefore, sacrifice is the only thing to be in peace. It is the fruit of life. Service to mankind is the only answer, and therefore she adorns the saffron dress and became a brahmachari. The oppression of the weaker sections of the society by the rich and the powerful are shown in the maltreatment of Bubon and his father towards Urirei and her parents. Bubon wants Urirei, and because of his inability to procure her, he and his father meted out their anger towards Urirei and her family. After she has been kidnapped, her mother has been rendered helpless with no one in the whole of Kanchipur to help her mother because of fear of Bubon. And now coming to the plot of the novel, you'll find that the plot has two parallel stories or plots. The two main plots in the novel are the love between Birendra Kumar and Urirei and the unrequited love between Dhiren and Madhabi, and the ultimate sadness of these two young lovers. Both these plots have natural growth and are well integrated into the organic whole of the work. The novel is divided into 3 chapters, subdivided into 27 different scenes under each chapter. Out of these scenes, only 6 scenes are dedicated to Madhabi, viz. The hillside bower, Dhirendra Singh's puzzle, the pickup, Change in Madhabi's mind, scenery of the foothills, and the epilogue. Elsewhere in the novel, other than the parts in which Madhabi appears, Urirei's story dominates. There are other subplots in the novel which make it a complete whole. The subplot, like the hatred and the vicious deeds of Bubon and his malicious father, Sasi's relationship with Biren's sister Thambalsana, are integral to the main plot. Though there is a lack of cohesiveness in the plot, this is compensated by the compelling style of description of the novelist. Now with this, we come to the conclusion of this topic. Thank you.